58, Deputy Richard Boyd Barrett.
Thanks, Ceann Comhairle. Minister, on the 19th of February, the Department of Education issued a circular to state second-level schools saying that they must offer alternative subject choices to students who didn't want to study religion. This instruction applied to state-run non-religious schools run by local education training boards and community schools. A very good instruction, welcomed by those who want to see a separation of church and state, who want to see a choice for people who don't share particular religious views in terms of the education system, to end the sort of discrimination and stigma. Incredibly, at the beginning of this month, the department issued a new circular essentially capitulating all of that. And in the intervening period, there was clearly a lot of lobbying by the Catholic Church and its representatives, where now the alternative choice subject is not to be offered to people who choose to opt out of religion. Can you explain this?
Thanks, Ceann Comhairle. I know we're tight for time and Deputy Martin wants to get in, but can I just take this opportunity, Ceann Comhairle, as a former member of the Business Committee is here, to thank Deputy Barrett for his collegiality and cooperation at the Business Committee level, and to yourself as well, Ceann Comhairle, and your team for a wonderful experience in how consensus politics can work and getting things done, and I just want to put that on public record, Ceann Comhairle. My department published Circular 0013/2018 in February 2018, which set out an approach to the arrangements that were made for religious instruction and worship in education and training board and post-primary community schools. This arose from concerns that multi-denominational ETB schools were requiring attendance at classes with Catholic religious instruction. Section 4 of the circular provided that the school is required to ascertain parental wishes in respect of their child's attendance at such religious instruction, and where a parent did not want religious instruction, the school was required to provide an alternative subject. Where there were any practice of combining or including religious instruction and formation or worship in the same class as the NCCA religious education syllabus, parents were made aware of this fact so that they could make an informed decision to withdraw from that class if that was their wish. Newly published circular, the one you point out, clarifies in Section 3 that withdrawal with an offer of an alternative subject does not arise in relation to the NCCA religious syllabus, where there is no religious instruction or faith formation. Religious education is an examinable subject, just like history or geography, for example. It aims to develop the student's ability to examine questions of meaning, purpose, and relationships, to help students understand, respect and appreciate people's expression of their beliefs, and to facilitate dialogue and reflection on the diversity of beliefs and values that inform responsible decision-making and ways of living. Crucially, it is not delivered from any one religious perspective. The second important clarification is that where a school intends to provide religious instruction classes, parents must give consent before admission to the class. This means that the issue of opt-out does not arise because a parent has requested a place in their religious instruction class. This circular has no impact on the right of parents on the Education Act and under the Constitution to opt out of any subject for a reason of conscience.
We need clarification here, Minister, and I'm aware from a report done by M. O'Kelly and RTE and FOIs that were put in around this, that there was very considerable lobbying by the Catholic bishops, by the Association of Trustees of Catholic Schools, by former heads of County Dublin VEC and so on this matter, which were only discovered by FOIs in the intervening period, who are clearly unhappy with the initial circular, a positive circular which was saying people had the right to opt out of religious education and have alternative subject choices. Now, it's not clear for me from your answer, does that still stand? Do people have the right to opt out and have alternative subject choices, as per the first circular, which they absolutely should do? People should not be forced to have imposed on them religious education, stroke instruction. Right? And this sort of distinction that's being drawn between education and instruction is a bit bogus, to be absolutely honest with you. So can we get clarity on that?
We'll try and let the Minister answer.
I will. And by the way, thanks for your words, and I share the sentiments about the Business Committee, and good luck in your new portfolio.
I was just forcing you to wish me good luck. Didn't work. Thank you. Look, I can certainly ensure to get proper clarification. I'll do that. I'll speak to my officials, but just additional information, and hopefully this may be helpful. And by the way, I do agree with the whole idea that, as a former philosophy student in Maynooth, that there should be space provided within the curriculum where people can address many of the difficult questions that we all face on a day-to-day basis, and I think that is not instruction. There is no religious specific instruction within that religious education syllabi. The Department's Inspectorate, as part of their normal inspection processes, will be inspecting the NCCA religious education subject and how it is delivered in schools according to the requirements set out in the recently published circular. And schools have discretion in relation to religious education. They may choose not to offer the subject at all, or if it is to be mandatory or optional in any particular class, group or year, religious education is to be treated the same as all other subjects, such as history, geography, for this purpose, and is subject to inspection. So just to put on the record again, there is a separation here, and the religious education as a subject is not instruction. It's not instructing any one faith or another. But it is probably an opportunity to broaden the discussion around well-being at a time when children and young people have different anxieties and different pressures, and teachers are looking at ways, and we discussed at the committee this morning, how do we fast forward on the well-being area that this, I certainly think there's value in this.
Barrett.
Give me the clarity. Do people still have the choice to opt out of religious education, have alternative subject choices? And you're not giving me a clear answer, which seems to suggest they don't in some cases. And you see, I was also a philosophy student in UCD, and I remember at my first philosophy lecture, a priest got up, member of Opus Dei, and there was a lot of them in the UCD philosophy department, and said, "We're going to teach you philosophy, all the great philosophers," but he said, "I just want to tell you this. Karl Marx is not a philosopher, Nietzsche is not a philosopher," and he listed a whole load of other secular, radical philosophers and said they're not philosophers, but he said, "I'll tell you who is a philosopher, Sir Thomas Aquinas," right? That was the start of our philosophical education, right? Religious, true and true, Catholic religious, true and true, and that's how it followed. Now, you see, we can't have that. It didn't work with me, absolutely didn't work with me. But the point... Well, yeah, but you see, that's not on, right? And so it needs to be absolutely clear. And in fact, it should be changed to philosophy, not religious education. It should be philosophy, including other worldviews that have nothing to do with religion. So yes, we can look at religious views, but we have to look at all views of the world, and that's not what we're getting, and people should have the right to opt out of religious education.
Minister, to conclude on this matter, please.
Just to repeat again, it is schools' prerogative. They may put it on, they may not put it on. My information is telling me that instruction from any one perspective, any one individual religion, it's not part of this. And I'm happy to continue this conversation on the philosophy element, because I think young people do need that space to reflect. And as a convent boy, which I am, I came from a Loreto school and a secondary school, and I valued the philosophy and the ethos in terms of the caring and the compassion that was espoused by the Loreto order as well. So I think that's a perspective that I have, but that's not a perspective coming from the Department of Education.
You get that from Karl Marx as well.
Anyway, I was more of a Descartes fan in philosophy, but I think we have to be very, very clear here that if there is a school makes a decision, and it's one thing that I'm going to be very, in my philosophy of the job that I have and my vision, it's about empowering schools to make the choices themselves as well.